Salutations!
Welcome to the Film Mages Podcast, where the popcorn is our ammunition, the couch is our foxhole, and the cinema is our place of worship.
Now let me see your war face! Ah!
Well, hello, my fabulous friends. Hello.
Ooh, my bones.
There's that sound.
Oh, they're hurting.
I've been looking forward to it. It's been a week.
Yeah, it has been a week.
It's been a full week.
It's been a full fucking week.
Nice. Recording in like full week increments, because it gives me something to look forward to.
Yeah, it's been spaced out.
It feels more like an assault when we like do them a bunch back to back, but when we spread them out, I like it. It's nice. It feels good.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Film Majors. I'm Zach.
I'm Mick.
I'm Alexis.
That's Alexis.
That is Alexis.
But we aren't alone.
We are not. We have a special guest today.
A special guest, you say?
Yes.
If you haven't guessed it from the title of the episode, who do we have here with us? Take it away, please.
Yeah, I'm Sam.
It's Sam! Hi, Sam!
This is my lovely, darling babe. Thank you so much for joining the show. I'm very excited to have you here. It has been a long time coming.
We'll see, I guess. Let's see how much I embarrass you.
You fundamentally can't embarrass him more than he's embarrassed himself.
Good point.
But, Sam, what's your experience in the film world? What do you do in the biz?
Yeah, why are you here?
What do I do in the biz? I am a makeup and special effects artist.
You're goddamn right you are.
Sorry, was I not putting that close enough to
Yes. Yeah, good.
Shove it in my
Adjust.
gosh.
Not close enough.
You're a fucking sick guy, and I'm uncomfortable being around you.
I know, but he can't get rid of me.
Okay, yeah, actually, I feel like I'm... no, we're going to stay with film stuff. Sam, what have you worked on? What are you proudest of?
Oh, God.
That's a big question.
That is a big question.
And I'm asking it.
Oh, God.
We ask the big questions on this show.
Do we?
Sometimes.
Since when?
Since now.
Wait.
Oh, God. You put me on the spot now. I don't know particularly one that I'm the proudest of.
You worked on Harry Potter.
Yeah, but not in makeup.
But you worked on Harry Potter.
That's pretty fucking sick.
Let us
sick.
sit in that.
One, you're aging me, so yeah, that's not fun. But
Yeah, fuck you,
that
Mick.
wasn't.
What? You're a piece of shit, dude.
It's true.
Mick, what's going on? God, you're a bad guy.
I want you to brag. You gotta brag. Gotta get in there. Gotta fight in the slop.
Okay, follow-up question for you, Sam. How do you deal with this?
I drink.
There we go.
Yes, that
Hey,
is true.
me too. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Now, okay, we're all here. We're all together. We've talked a little bit about who's all here, but what have we seen lately?
Alexis, have you seen anything?
No, I'm about to start Hell Week at the theater, so I haven't done anything. I also had a Hell Week of work before, so I was like, no extra time for things that are fun. Actually,
No doubt,
I take that back.
Does that-
I take that back. I did have one night where I had time to go see Coraline before I went to rehearsals. So I went to go see Coraline in
hell
theaters
yeah.
because I fucking love that.
Fuck yeah.
That other mother, baby.
You know, I don't share your sentiment about the other mother. You're unwell.
Because I'm built different. What can I say?
You fucking
I would be
are.
ensnared in that trap.
Ugh.
You know, I went to Sacramento like a couple weekends ago, and I went to this antique store, and I had bought Where the Wild Things Are on DVD because it was only like $2, right? And I just think it's really interesting how often I feel like they portray like, I don't know if it's like mental illness or like abuse and things like through children's stories, you know, but through kind of these otherworldly characters. I think almost in a way to like show children like the world's not so bad where you are sometimes, that things can be worse, if that makes any sense. Like, I mean, the other mother, it's kind of like she's using some forms of manipulation, obviously, to make you feel that the world is better where she is, but actually she doesn't really love you. And she's only showing you these things until she can get what she wants, you know, and then she'll discard you, which is, you know, form of abuse, manipulation, whatever. And it's kind of similar.
She can have it if you're asking me.
You're a sick guy. Shut the fuck up, Alexis, please. You need to stop being horny for the other mother. Alexis, I want to hear more of your thoughts. You can and you will. Alexis, please.
But it's Halloween.
I, for one, really would love to have a poster that is in Miss Spink and Miss Forcible's house. There's one that says King Lear, but spelled Leer. And you see it for like a second when you're passing by the first time that Coraline comes into like their room or whatever, and it's just because obviously I love when like kids movies have like this little bit of like adulty kind of stuff in them, you know, where it's like, oh, they were theater girls, but they were kind of like show girls in a little bit of a way. So like every play that they were in has like some wordplay of a sexual nature of it, you know. So
yeah.
I really want a poster of their King Lear poster. I think that would be fucking sick. Yeah, those are all my takeaways.
Fuck yeah.
Did you see it in 3D?
I did see it in 3D. I thought, yeah, I mean, like,
Pretty great, right?
yeah, it was okay. I mean, I'm not like a
It's coming right
huge
at you.
3D person, but I think
Same.
like it was good. Yeah.
I feel like Coraline and Avatar are like the two movies that really fucking utilize 3D.
I don't know about you, Alexis, but when I saw it, I was like, I don't think this needed to be in 3D, but it does look great.
I don't know. I just remember like my first time seeing it, and granted, I haven't seen the re-release, but the bit where like the tunnel kind of folds out.
That looked
That is
great.
cool, yeah.
I remember that kind of blowing me away.
Yeah, it's like one of those
I
movies
gotta
that
see
it
that
doesn't need
Coraline
it,
re-release.
but you know, it's fun enough to see it in 3D, I guess.
I love their spooky garden so much. I want that spooky garden.
Fuck yeah.
I want it today.
I've not seen it in a long time.
It's really good.
It's
You should catch it
incredible.
while it's still in
I think I
theaters.
saw it when it first came out, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I rewatched it last year for the first time in a little bit, and it holds up like a motherfucker. It's so good.
It really does.
Mick and Sam, what have you two seen? Well, let's throw it to Sam. I don't want to hear from you. Sam, what have you seen recently?
So I've been working nonstop. So I've only just seen one movie, and that was the new Beetlejuice movie.
And what'd you think?
So I wasn't as offended by it as Mick.
Why are you coming at me? I was not offended by
Get
it.
him right now.
I wasn't offended by it.
Go after him
my
right
God.
now.
I mean, I had it was what I expected it to be. I didn't think it was going to be anything mind-blowing, but I thought it would be fun. And I loved the makeup and the set design, and I love the fact that we spent so much time in like the underworld. And I also liked how they dealt with who's the guy?
Jeffrey Jones.
Yeah, and I liked how they dealt with his character.
Yeah, I think I'll probably end up seeing it because, like, well, Tim Burton has been disappointing me in recent years. I feel like in terms of, like, directors who kind of got me into filmmaking, Tim Burton pretty high on the list. I did a project on him in 5th grade. So I feel like I owe it to him. Oh, did we just lose Alexis?
Alexis, you still there?
Uh-oh. All right, I'm going to pause the recording.
And we were talking about Beetlejuice. Zach will find a very graceful way to cut this in. And Zach, you were saying you are on in 5, 4, 3.
So those are my feelings on Tim Burton, but Mick, what did you think about Beetlejuice?
So Beetlejuice, I will completely agree with my lovely co-host here, Sam. The practical effects and makeup effects are actually quite stunning. In fact, they reminded me a bit of Men in Black in the sense that you get this underworld and you just get so many very thoroughly designed kooky characters that don't really play into the plot. They're just there as kind of dressing, but they're so distinctive and they've been giving so much attention that it just builds the world so much. So I like how much this movie spent in the underworld. Just from a design perspective, the production design is also really good. We'll give a shout out to Christine Blundell.
Yeah, Christine Blundell is
Blundell.
from the UK.
Okay, you know her.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Or know of her.
Yes.
Yeah, she
She's
was in
very
charge of the makeup design, and all the animatronics are super cool. But production-wise, great. Everything else for me I thought was pretty lame, I'm not going to lie. It was just, they're so many side stories happening, and none of it is particularly intriguing to me. It just felt really cluttered.
That, honestly, from what I'm hearing, I think I definitely will see it because it is exciting to hear that Tim Burton is building practical sets again.
Yeah, sets are great.
I don't want to see Tim Burton near CGI.
Because he did Dumbo, right?
Yeah, he did. I didn't see it.
It was really sad. I mean, it was sad originally anyway, but yeah.
Wait, hold on. You didn't see Dumbo?
No, I didn't see Dumbo.
You didn't see Dumbo. Alexis, you see Dumbo?
No, the first one is like the original one is so sad.
It's so
It makes me
depressing.
so sad.
Also, I completely admire him putting his very fine wife, Monica Bellucci, into the movie, but this is not a spoiler
I know,
because
that's so
there's
funny.
nothing to spoil. She does nothing. Like, her character literally
Yeah, I
does
heard
nothing.
she's there for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was a bit... They really play her up in the trailer.
Wait, who?
Monica Bellucci. She was the undead zombie woman, the very attractive one that was trying to...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah,
The one who has staples all on her.
Yeah, the makeup was super. Like, the design of her was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, she didn't really deliver. That's the point. Obviously, I forgot about her, so.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Wait, I have a question though for the people who have seen. Sam, is it just you who's seen Dumbo, the like new one that he had done?
Oh, yeah. I think so. Have you seen it?
Oh, so did they like recreate the pink elephants? Because low-key that shit kind of scared me. Like, it definitely scared my sister when she was growing up. So
Show you a pink elephant.
They did change bits, like with the. Is it the crows?
Oh!
Were they crows?
That's Mr. Crow.
I haven't seen Dumbo in
They
a while.
made it a little bit PC in areas, I believe, but then they also made it.
Boo.
Yeah.
God.
It's still. It's a dark
Political
story.
correctness gone mad.
But I'm trying to remember because I saw it when it first came out, so it's been a while. When was that? 2019?
19. Yeah.
So many
Oh,
good
yeah.
movies came out of 2019, and that wasn't one of them, apparently.
Yeah, I just remember
fucking seen
crying. I remember being like, "Oh, this is fucking sad."
Yeah, I remember Bill Burr did a bit about how he's like, why are they making all the Disney movies so fucking sad? I went to take my daughter to see fucking Dumbo. It's fucking Dumbo. And it's about like World War I depression and shit. And my daughter starts crying. I'm like, I don't know. It's Dumbo. It's about an elephant that flies with its big ears.
That's
mean-
an insane Bill Burr, by the way.
They go in
My
a
name's
lot.
Bill Burr.
They go in a lot with like animal exploitation, so that's also
That's
quite
good.
sad.
That's
But yeah.
right. That's right. Our resident vegan on the show.
There we go.
Why don't you talk about that?
You're the resident vegan on the
We're
show.
both
This is our
residential
guest
vegans.
vegan.
That is guest
Guest
vegan. That's
vegan.
true.
This is our honored guest vegan.
Also, they wasted a Danny cameo,
Nah.
which makes me sad. But hey, he's in it, so you can get some
It
points
did what
with
I
that.
wanted it to do, though.
That it was fun?
Yeah, because you could tell
Yeah.
it was him before you saw him.
Yes. No, that was cool. I remember whispering to you going, is that Danny DeVito?
Is that Danny?
It is.
There's only one man shaped like that.
That is the distinctly egg-shaped man.
Hell yeah.
Zach, have you seen anything?
Yeah, well, Mick, you and I both saw a new Netflix release called Rebel Ridge, directed by Jeremy Saulnier.
Yeah.
Now, to preface this, Jeremy Saulnier directed one of my favorite movies of the 2010s, which was Green Room.
An Oregon film.
Yes, I think that movie is fantastic. Really called the, like, rise of the far right in America a year before it really started getting noticeable on, like, a massive scale.
Specifically the hills of Oregon. Like, that's
Yeah.
also, that is very accurate.
Yeah,
that it
drilled
would
down
happen
on
there.
the fucking Nazi shit that goes on just outside of Portland. So, Mick, what did you think of Rebel Ridge?
I had a friend that recommended it to me, and I'm super glad that he did, because I think this is one of the strongest genre pictures of the year. Rebel Ridge is this very, very compelling crime action thriller that is about a ex-Marine that loses a bunch of money due to civil forfeiture from this local police department in this very rural, I think it's like Tennessee or something like that. It's some
Louisiana.
It's Louisiana, okay. And he puts up a fucking fight. He brings the fight to the police so that he can get his money back to take to get his cousin bailed out, and things just get worse and worse, and you begin to uncover this conspiracy that the cops are completely corrupt, and it's just so well performed. The set pieces are so good. The suspense is incredible. This movie actually had me clapping with glee at certain points. I just thought it was so well handled. And aside from all those genres, this is a really good Western. And I saw another movie that I'll get into in a bit that is a Western, a proper Western, and I was quite sad that, God, this genre just seems so dead. And then I saw Rebel Ridge, and it's very much a neo-modern Western, the same way that, like Taylor Sheridan, we were talking about, Hell or High Water, Wind River, Sicario, is kind of it's pumping life back into that genre, and I had so much fun with it. But you...
I did not,
Mr. Cranky Pants.
I did not like the fucking ending of this movie. I think that, it builds tension effectively. Jeremy Saulnier can deliver the hell out of a action or suspense sequence. I think that I've been very excited for Rebel Ridge for a while. I didn't realize it was going to come out this year, but I remember hearing about this being developed in 2020 with John Boyega originally being attached as the lead. And I think that this movie really kind of shits the bed on its themes in the third act. This is a movie that starts out as being really kind of dedicated to showing how systemic racism and corruption exists in American policing. Clearly, Jeremy Saulnier watched the John Oliver on civil asset forfeiture. And the end of this movie really kind of goes a few bad apples route in a way that I found incredibly disappointing. Because it really does a great job showing how corrupt and how racist this fucking police department is. And then at the end, we've got... I don't want to spoil it, but we've definitely got, some cops really kind of turning to the side of moral uprightness in a way that felt completely fucking unearned. It's not just that it doesn't align with my personal politics. I think it doesn't align with the story that it was telling at the start. I think that, a movie can do a lot right, but if you blow your ending, you're gonna leave me with a bad taste in your mouth, and I really think that this movie just completely fucking blew its ending.
I don't agree. There were some things at the end.
Well, you're wrong. How about that?
There were some things at the end that did not, blow me away. But again, on more reflection, I do really appreciate this. I think that it is not going that route of having it be a super, black and white revenge-o-matic genre picture. It is a bit more telling more of a gray story in that way. And
but I don't think it sets itself up as a gray story.
Okay,
I think it becomes a gray story in order to, not have to show a bunch of cops get annihilated in the same way that the Nazis do in Green Room.
But having said that, I don't think the ending feels unearned. I think something that I pointed out earlier was when this one police officer does end up doing the right thing, and then the other police officers that are totally fucking corrupt, they then gang up on him. I thought that sold me even more how bad these police officers are, that they are so willing to just turn on their own when the chips are down. They will do anything to fucking avoid consequence because they're all about thin blue line, blue lives matter. Well, actually, blue lives don't matter if you don't toe the fucking line.
Except then some of them are like, no, let's actually do a convoy. Let's save the day.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the strongest bit, but there was again, try not to spoil anything, but there is a vehicle maneuver that happens here that had me cheering.
Yeah,
I thought it was. Yeah, yes, it's a little corny, but fuck, man, did we not deserve deserve it, like, after all that shit?
Well, I feel like we deserved a lot more after all that shit, and we didn't get a payoff.
I think you should watch it.
But you saw another new release that was also a Western?
Yes, I saw Thicket, which is a new Western starring Peter Dinklage and directed by Elliot Lester.
Dinklage?
And Juliette
Peter
Lewis.
Dinklage?
And it's sad. I think it looks beautiful. It was shot in British Columbia. The vistas are beautiful. The hair and makeup, the costuming, the production design, everything about it is beautiful. But oh my god, this movie was so dull. It's amazing that you can have a movie about a posse. Which, by the way, the leader of the posse is the lead singer from Metallica.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great fucking actor. God, what is his name? James Hetfield plays Simon Deasy. Anyways, he's the leader of this posse, which is hunting down these. What's the name of people that hunt down people for a
bounty hunters?
Bounty hunter. The posses are hunting down a bounty hunter, but those bounty hunters are hunting down this evil band of outlaws. So there's like people chasing people that are chasing people. Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
And how is that possible? So anyways, it's a shame because it clearly they tried really hard, but also none of the acting worked for me. It all felt really contrived and performative and kind of hokey. It seemed like everyone was acting like they were in a Western. Even Peter Dinklage didn't do it for me.
But was it better than Horizon? Is it Horizon?
Yes, it was.
Horizon and American Saga Part 1.
Yes, The Thicket and American Saga Part 1. Yeah, that's right. We saw that together, and I'm so sorry.
You forced me.
I didn't force you. I knew you would do this, but because at the last second, I told you, I was like, this is really long. You don't have to go. And you're like, no, I'll go.
Yeah, it was long.
It was long. It was very long.
Yeah, I'm a Costner doubter, so I'm not going to dabble with that.
And then I did see one other new release. I saw it a few days ago. I saw Speak No Evil, directed by James Watkins. This is a remake of another movie that you may have heard of, Speak No Evil.
From 2022.
From 2 years ago,
Yeah,
which is a Danish film.
Great movie.
I'm going to check it out. I really like this one. Well, this is with James McAvoy and my boy, Scoot McNairy. I hate that. I hate that I say that.
You love Scoot.
I didn't... You saw this?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, a couple days ago. I think it was really good. I thought it was really effective. It was really scary. James McAvoy is so good at just being this vile person where he has this volcanic temperament just bubbling just below the surface, and at any point he could pop off. He's so good at just raging. I thought that also Mackenzie Davis, who plays the mom, is so good in this. I mean, I completely bought her and Scoot McNairy as a regular couple thrust into a situation that they have no fucking control of. I totally bought it. So the filmmaking mechanics of it itself are competent and fine. There's nothing mind-blowing about how they shot it, but to me, this movie really delivers on performances. It's just everybody's so good in it.
And was like the trailer the whole movie? Because I felt like every time. Yeah.
No, you do pretty much see the movie in the trailer, but having then seen it, this was a movie where Mackenzie Davis's character, the mother, she conquers one of the evildoers, and the theater went up in applause.
I can't wait for you to see the original Speak No Evil.
I don't know exactly how they would improve upon it.
I have heard the ending is very different.
Fascinating. Because I like the ending of this.
Yeah.
As I told you earlier, it actually made me tear up at the very end.
I really enjoyed the ending of the Danish Speak No Evil.
Well,
this is also like one of those movies where I'm like, why did we do a remake of this?
I don't understand really either. Having seen it, I don't know.
Especially because the original Speak No Evil is mostly in English.
Really?
Yeah, because it's a Danish. I think it's a Danish couple visiting a couple in Norway. So they don't like speak the same language. So when they're talking to each other, they speak English. So it's weird.
I feel so tiny-brained that if there's another culture I don't speak their language, I'll just speak a third language that's more common, and then we'll be able to communicate.
Yeah, that will be good.
Meanwhile, I'm this fucking monolinguist over here.
Yeah,
it's really depressing.
So
my eyes were swelling.
Well, I feel like we shouldn't get too deep into other stuff that we've watched because we've chatted a lot.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not going to talk about how I saw Heat re-released.
Yeah, okay, that's fun. That's fun. I've watched a lot of horror movies. House by the Cemetery, good. Dead Birds, pretty good. House of the Thousand Corpses, pretty good. The Vanishing, kind of incredible.
I need to watch that.
I'm so glad you finally watched House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yes,
It's
Fresno's
so
own Sid Haig.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey.
I didn't love it. It's kind of like a music video version
It's a vibe.
of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which we've talked about on this
And
podcast.
I like that.
But yeah, it seemed like everyone on set was having a great time, and I don't know, it's fun. I enjoyed it. I would watch it again.
Side note, I do also know for a fact that Sid Haig is actually just a really nice guy. Like, he's been in Fresno before, and like a friend of a friend served them, and he gave them like a big fat tip at the end of the night.
Nice.
So, we love that. We love people that treat their servers right.
We love big fat tips.
We're crazy about Sid Haig's big fat tip.
I love big fat tips.
Oh, we know.
Just the tip.
Just
Shall
the tip.
we
Make it better.
do it?
Almost. You mentioned Society.
I didn't mention Society.
Zach finally showed me Society, which I will say I originally had tickets to see after Longlegs at a midnight showing, and I'm glad I didn't, because this was just a better environment seeing it in an apartment. But oh my god,
Yeah.
holy shit! Brian Usna, the director, right? I have to say, if you're a fan of completely bonkers 80 horror films, you have got to watch this. The first hour is okay. Like, it's fine. But then the last half hour happens. And let me tell you, I don't get, like, genuinely shocked anymore with, like, 80s horror films usually. This was special. This was infamous. This is grotesque and terrible.
It's
But it's so good. Oh my god.
It's a movie that's definitely in the back pocket for episodes to do during spooky season, because it is insane, and it is one of my favorite movies to show people for the first time.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you watch it, and I remember thinking, like, did they get away with this?
It's one of those movies where if you've seen it before, you're looking over at the people who haven't seen it and being like, yeah, you're wondering why. You're wondering why this was my pick. Give it 5 minutes.
It has Sleepaway Camp energy in that way of just like, oh my god.
Yes.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Better movie than Sleepaway Camp.
For sure.
Do we have anything else?
I think that's all the stuff I've seen.
Oh, Exodus?
I did have Beetlejuice up on my iPad while I was working this week, and to be honest, I kind of forgot how handsome Alec Baldwin is in that movie.
He's looking good in that movie.
He's a good, dapper man.
He really is. I love his whole fit. I think at one point they say something like, oh, we need the clothes for them, and then Lydia says something like, oh, you're going to have to go down to the Goodwill, and I was like, that's unfair. I feel like they had decently nice outfits.
Yeah, it's
Like,
lesbian
yes, it's
chic.
a little country, but sure, yeah. Anyways, he was handsome, and honestly, I kind of forgot how good that movie is.
It rules.
So
Yeah, it's
I'm
good.
very
It
curious
rules.
to see the new one.
Alrighty, well with that, let's hop out of what's going on. And we're back.
We are back.
We're back from it. We're back in it. And we are on to our third big topic of Sci-Fi September.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, Mick, you adjust that microphone.
It's just
How you
vibrating.
doing
This whole-
there?
I don't know why it's vibrating
It's
so
fine. I'll
much.
take my arm off the table. That'll probably help.
I don't know why it's vibrating so much.
well,
does that?
You need to stop mounting it.
Stop mounting it. Yeah, get down from there, Mick.
Sorry, let me...
Close your fucking legs.
Alright, I'm good.
Jesus Christ, show some modesty.
I can't believe they're back together.
All right. We are going to discuss a big topic that I brewed up for this film, which is what are some of our favorite films that were made by people that we personally believe.
Nailed it.
Thank you. Belong in jail.
Usual Suspects, Bryan Singer.
Yeah. Allegedly. we have to hit Bryan Singer with the allegedly.
So, listeners, you're going to hear the word allegedly a lot in this episode, but yeah.
Alexis?
Not on mine. Definitely not allegedly. Because, technically I feel like the two of his better movies I haven't seen, but I have seen Coming to America. It's really the only one I have seen, and it's John Landis. And there's nothing alleged about the fact that he got 3 people fucking killed on his segment of the Twilight Zone movie.
Yeah.
And it's a really fucked up story. And to be honest, I listened to a whole podcast episode on it today. And at the end of the podcast episode, there was a section that was on his son, Max Landis, who is also a piece of shit. Actually, there was like this story about Eddie Murphy and John Landis that was pretty fun. If you guys want to hear that later too. So,
I mean,
yeah, fuck John Landis. Don't like that guy. He's reprehensible.
Max Landis also jail and hasn't even had the decency to make the Blues Brothers. So
Wait, what's the deal with Max?
Literally.
He's
Aside of being a great streaming
he's a creep.
He's a creep. He's been accused of sexual assault and emotional abuse from a lot of his ex-partners. One of his partners came forward, and then another 9 to 10 women came forward that spoke on sexual misconduct or just misconduct on set or stuff.
He's been accused of writing Netflix's Bright, and fundamentally that should land you in jail.
What the fuck? Oh, buried the lead.
Yeah, actually, one thing that I did hear on the podcast episode was that he had this girlfriend who he would make her watch humiliation porn.
Yeah.
And then pretty much they would have sex, and he was just kind of pushing her boundaries farther and farther until she was actually, hey, here's the thing. Some people like humiliation porn, and that's okay. But if you're making somebody watch humiliation porn and then you are forcing them to go past their boundaries and their limitations, some people like kinky sex and some people do not, and some people could like kinky sex if they feel safe and have proper boundaries, What he does is not fucking cool. So he fucking sucks. He does belong in jail. His dad belongs in fucking prison.
Okay, but don't hold back. How do you really feel? Good pick right out of the gate. Dude, bad pick, but good pick.
I'm not gonna lie. I listened to the episode, and when they were talking about the stuff on the Twilight Zone, the movie, I wanted to cry.
Oh, it's horrific.
It was just
terrible.
horrible. So for people who don't know, on that movie, Vic Morrow, who is the father of Jennifer Jason Leigh, and 2 children under the age of 8, a 6-year-old girl and a 7-year-old boy, the girl was crushed by a helicopter, and Vic Morrow and the young boy were decapitated by this helicopter, and it literally was all through fucking negligence of John Landis. So, and the other thing that I was listening to on this podcast episode, it's called Hollywood Crime Scenes, was that he didn't actually tell the parents. So I'm so sorry to go on a tangent, but all this information was really cool. But so basically, he didn't get permits for these kids because he wanted to do a night shoot, right? So he didn't think that he would get permission. He could have maybe gotten permission by doing a special thing, but he thought maybe he wouldn't get it, so he didn't even apply for the permit. He wasn't allowed to have these children on the set at 2 a.m. to do this night shoot scene with all these explosions and this helicopter. He hid them from the safety guy that was the firefighter or whatever that was on set. He told the parents that there wasn't going to be anything dangerous going on around them. One of the fathers actually is Vietnamese, and he had experience of the Vietnamese War. So when these bombs and things on the set were going off, he was having triggered reactions because he actually experienced something very similar to what they're portraying in this segment of the movie. And anyways, it all sounded really fucking horrible and just terrible. And after this guy and all these other people that were involved were acquitted, he had a party the next year to celebrate being acquitted.
Man.
Ugh.
What the fuck?
Fuck that guy. And he was a dick to Eddie Murphy. And I know that Eddie Murphy's not like great or anything, but Eddie Murphy basically
The biggest
did
crime.
this interview with Playboy where he was like, John Landis had to start all this shit when they were working on Coming to America, right? And at the end of the interview, he was like, yeah, I would have beaten the shit out of him if he had like gone off on me again. And they were like, oh, like, you know, hit him or whatever. And he's like, no, I would have sent that dude to the hospital because if I'm going to have to pay money like on an assault charge, I'm going to make that shit worth it. And I was like, yes, Eddie Murphy.
Wow.
Fucking
Like,
go
yes,
off.
That's funny.
You tell them. So that's mine.
Sam,
pick.
who are you thinking?
So, I don't know, because you posed this question to me, what, a couple of hours ago?
No, earlier today in the morning.
It wasn't in the morning.
So you don't have
Anyway.
anything.
Well, no, because I was like, no, I don't.
That's okay.
I threw it out last night.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, we can wait for, you know, the main topic
have the
movie
segue.
for me to get into it.
Yeah.
True.
We'll do
Yes,
that.
good point.
So I'll just throw out Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
Roman Polanski, a dude
Classic.
who is wanted by the U.S. government because he sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl and fled the country. He was convicted of this, and he fled the country, and people had to fucking pick up his Oscar for him when he won for The Pianist. You know, fuck that.
It's amazing that they allowed that to be nominated.
It's amazing that it won. 2006 was a different time.
It's amazing that it was ever made.
Yeah, he had...
To be honest with you, you keep going back.
I didn't realize for a long time that that happened in 1977. Like, most of his film career where he was working with, you know, famous Hollywood actors
It was all after.
was after. Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Insanity.
Now, you worked with Adrian Brody. How does that make you feel?
Well, we don't have to get into it.
You're not going to do the Brody bit?
We don't have to talk about my first film job.
Was that your first film
That
job?
was my first professional film set.
Wow.
And I did think about that.
Crazy.
That was,
You worked on The Pianist.
I didn't work on The Pianist. I would have been...
Oh, this was a different
Brody project. I would have been 8 years old, brother.
Ooh, stay away from Roman Polanski.
Yeah, seriously. Jail for him is what I'm saying. Now...
I mean, mine was Bryan Singer. I feel like both of ours, I'm not going to go into why he should be in jail, but...
Allegedly.
Allegedly,
Bryan Singer should definitely be
Jesus.
in jail.
No, but why?
No, not good pool parties. Don't go to the pool parties. Because Frank Underwood will be there.
Well,
Kevin
how's it going?
Spacey?
Did you know there are no crimes in art?
You know about Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, I know. He
Yeah.
actually came to a house party of mine in London and started trying it on with young men.
Oh,
Now, that seems weird.
That
Like
seems-
18, 19.
that seems so out of character for
I know.
him. Because I've
Wow.
only heard good things about Mr. Frank Underwood.
That's fucking crazy.
dad, but you never saw
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yes,
Would
allegedly.
everyone here please let me be Frank?
No, you cannot be Frank
I'm
ever
gonna
again.
be Frank now.
So yeah, why are we talking
Why
about...
are we talking about this
directors
dark,
that should
dark
be in
topic?
jail?
I pitched this last night. I didn't know that we were going to go for it, but we did. And that's because we are talking.
Nobody else pitched anything else for
I
this
didn't have any idea. I don't know.
Nobody had anything else.
I was
I don't know.
tired.
When you said that, I was like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, same. I was tired. I was like, that sounds like a good idea. That sounds funny. We need a
No, it
better...
didn't sound funny, but
We need a better checks and balances system
Yeah,
on
it
this show.
sounds funny, but in practices, you're just like recounting horrible crimes.
This is like the big topic of equivalent of Curse Christmas, where it's
Yeah.
just a series of horrible crimes.
But have you noticed that all men?
Yes.
I did notice this.
I was about to say.
Good. Yeah, I'm sure. I believe that.
That's true.
Okay, so we are talking about 1997's The Fifth Element, directed by Luc Besson, who we might get into in a bit.
No, we're going to get into him.
And here is the description. The Earth is about to be destroyed by a huge ball of fire racing towards the planet. Cornelius, an old monk, knows how to stop the burning sphere with the help of Corbin Dallas, a taxi driver and former secret agent, and a woman named Lilu.
That is multi-pass.
All right, good. Yeah, nailed it.
I feel like that's the very thin
That's
gist.
the barest of bones.
That is the barest of bones.
Sam,
Yeah.
you're a big Fifth Element head.
Wow.
What's your relationship to this movie?
I don't know. I think, as I'm a little bit older than you guys, okay.
You're a sick guy. You're weird.
Yeah.
You make everything so weird. You didn't have to say anything about that. You could have just let your girlfriend talk.
I know.
Sam has insights to share.
She does. She does. That's why I brought her on.
I don't want to hear anything more from you, Sam, please.
I'm trying to remember if I saw it in theatres or not, but now I realise that Armageddon was a year later, and that's when my love affair of Bruce Willis really came in. So, he sacrificed himself for Ben Affleck, which I will never understand.
He loves him.
Yeah, whatever. But, so I can't remember if I actually saw it in theatres or not, but I remember when I was at university, I had the DVD of it and I watched it a lot. But I think what I really liked about it was this, futuristic... It felt very, of a happy Blade Runner world.
That's a really good take. Yeah.
And also Bruce Willis. Just being Bruce Willis. And also, I can never pronounce her name.
Mila Jovovich?
Yes. She has been delivering Halloween costumes for a good... How many years has it been now? Not even 20. Close.
Yeah.
We'll round it up.
27 years?
That's
Since
sad.
1997?
Oh, yeah, 27.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm going to be 26 this year.
That's sad, man.
There we go.
Jesus Christ.
All right. Well, Alexis, The Fifth Element. When did you see it? What did you think of it?
I actually don't think that I'd seen it from beginning to end before. I think I'd only caught little snippets or clips maybe of it, but I don't think I'd ever seen it all, because when I was watching it, I was like, no, I definitely haven't seen all of this. But I did listen to an episode of What Went Wrong. Love that podcast. They're so
Stop
good.
plugging other
It's always-
podcasts.
she listens to every movie podcast that isn't us.
She's already heard it.
Well, I'm not going to re-listen to fucking 2 hours of us. Everybody else is more reasonable. They got hour-long
That
fucking
makes one of
podcast
us.
episodes, okay?
This is our competitive edge.
But it was low-key all about fucking Luc Besson. That shit, that man disgusting and messy. But I did really enjoy this watch. I thought honestly that having listened to that episode would ruin this for me a little bit, but Jean-Paul Gaultier, is that how you pronounce his name?
Oui,
Who
oui.
did all the costuming?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love Ruby, is it Ruby Road?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. I love the fact that was supposed to be Prince, but I think Chris Tucker is a way better choice. Just the comedy that he brings to the role is exactly, I think, what was needed for that. I don't know. I fucking love Chris Tucker in this movie. So I had a good time. I hate Luc Besson, but I had a good time.
Nice. You can separate the art from the artist.
And rightfully so. Mick.
Yes. I saw this when I was probably middle school, high school. I don't know. I don't remember a lot about it. This was probably, if I had to guess, maybe my third watch for this show. And this is a movie that I personally don't love, but I do quite like it. In fact, I think I liked it the most on this last watch. And I think partly what that is before I was watching this is kind of like this crazy space opera, and I don't know if I had as much of an ability for an appreciation.
Force that burp down, do it.
I was not able to appreciate the hamminess of it. I think now when I watch this more of just this is a comedy, I enjoy it more. It is completely wacky. And speaking of Ruby Rod, that was a character I could not stand when I was younger, but as an adult,
Yeah.
on a rewatch, I actually found Chris Tucker's performance one of the more entertaining parts of this film. I enjoyed how gender fluid that character is, especially if this came out like in the late 90s. I think that's pretty cool. The world is really intriguing. Yeah, it's good. Solid. What do you think, Zach?
I feel pretty similarly to you, Mick, about The Fifth Element. This is a movie that I feel like I've caught like 20 to 70% of about like 20 times on like TNT when I'm at home. This is truly like a cable classic. I've watched it all the way through. Yeah, this is probably like my third time really sitting down to watch The Fifth Element. I feel similarly to this that I do about another Luc Besson film, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
I never saw that.
Where I think that movie has like kind of incredible like world design and like visual imagination, but story-wise is a little undercooked. I feel kind of similarly about The Fifth Element, but I think the thing that puts this a cut above Valerian is in Valerian we're following Dane DeHaan, who, you know, Cure for Wellness, love him.
He's a good sickly boy.
Is not like a great choice for like a roguish space adventurer. He looks like he's going to collapse because he is pallid and sickly looking.
He's sick. He needs his vitamin C.
He reads kind of weaselly on. He reads
Mm-hmm.
He reads kind of weaselly on screen, and it's why he's so good in A Cure for Wellness. And Oppenheimer. But in The Fifth Element, I think the key thing to this movie working is Sam's beloved Bruce Willis, who this most recent rewatch, Chris Tucker really kind of rubbed me the wrong way here. It feels very like 90s gay stereotype. It feels like it's in the action scene he's gonna panic because he's, you know, kind of gender fluid and like maybe bisexual, and it's like, oh, of course the kind of more effeminate guy is gonna panic. So I didn't really love that stuff, but what I did love is Bruce Willis just being at the center of this like incredibly heightened, crazy world and completely grounding it. Because that is a guy who will never see a hairline like that on a leading man ever again. Like, he reads just as a normal fucking guy. Like, that's the power of Die Hard, and I think that's the power of Bruce Willis as a movie star. Is he is someone who you want to root for because he seems put upon and over it, and like
Right.
I think that he does that really well in this movie. So yeah, I generally liked it.
I'm glad you brought that up. Something that we mentioned when we watched it together was there's this great shot, and they spent a lot of money on Bruce Willis being in this. They talked him.
He took a pay cut.
He took a pay cut.
Yeah.
They talked him down, but still, he was very, very expensive. They didn't think they could get him, and a lot of people in LA told the French studio behind this that you're not going to be able to make this for the money that you need unless you have an A-lister. They get Bruce Willis. And I was watching it going, yeah, he's good. Like, how can you not like Bruce Willis? But when Lilu punches through the ceiling of the cab, boom, boom, bada boom, big boom, bada boom, and they're just doing this back and forth. And then the police cruiser comes down and shines the lights on Bruce Willis. He does this thing where he turns around and he's just got this squint and he pierces his lips. If you've seen this movie a lot, you know
pierces his lips.
He puts them together.
You mean purses his lips?
He swells his eyes.
God damn it! Learn to talk.
He purses his lips and he gives this
You only have one language.
He smolders. He does a smoldering thing. And in that moment, I realized that this is why you paid fucking money, is for that shot right there. That was 100% Die Hard. That was 100% Bruce Willis knowing exactly what he was doing. I love that action man look that he gives. It made me laugh.
And his voice.
You really like his voice. You kept commenting on it.
Please, Sam, tell us about Bruce Willis's voice.
Yeah, how does it make you feel?
How does it make you feel?
I mean, I don't know how explicit this podcast can be.
It's very... Have you listened to our show?
Go back and listen to our Dracula episode.
Have you
Yeah.
ever heard me speak at all?
That's
Go
true.
ahead.
Yeah,
Say
You're
whatever
amongst
you
friends.
want.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's definitely a wet patch on the couch, but after
Yeah! Welcome to the Film Majors.
We need to put a towel down before the
a
Fifth
bit
Element.
of, top. I don't know.
No.
But yeah, but I do like his. So I was chatting to you, Zach, earlier about makeup-wise, being a makeup artist. How when I was at makeup school, they referenced Bruce Willis in like Die Hard and Fifth Element and everything because they call them sexy face wounds. So they always do like a little nick on the eyebrow.
Yeah.
It's always a little bit sweaty. There's a little bit of blood. They're like a tiny bit of like dirt, but it has to be sexy. It's like the action hero wounds.
Yeah.
Sexy blood. I mentioned this earlier on the show, and I'm glad you're here to actually explain it
Yeah,
properly.
to attribute that where you fucking got
Yeah.
it from. Trying to fucking coast off someone who's smarter than you. Get fucking
Hey, I
serious.
mentioned her name. Hey, go back to our episode. Correction corner on you. I mentioned that my girlfriend, who's a makeup artist,
Yeah,
brought
I
this
don't
up.
listen to the show.
That makes one of us.
But no, it was funny to hear you mention that he's like, the example for sexy blood because one, I think it might have been the Blank Check podcast talking about Die Hard. Bruce Willis has made comments being like, I look my best when I'm dirty. And
I'm
it's
like, yes, you do.
He understands. And I had that moment watching The Fifth Element. I literally in my notes, there's somewhere where I wrote down like, oh, it's kind of a shame that we, haven't really gotten Bruce Willis like fucked up and dirty yet in this movie. And then the third act happens at like the space opera where he's fighting all of Zorg's guys.
And his shirt's all ripped.
Yes,
Like,
and his shirt gets ripped
sleeve.
and he's
Get the arms
bleeding. And I'm just like, hell yeah. Tattered tux, goo and dirt. This is Die Hard at a space opera. Like he is looking good.
I'm pretty certain, and I'll have to rewatch it, but when he pulls like the stones out of that alien, he doesn't have a ripped sleeve. But when he bursts through the doors, then his sleeve is completely shredded.
Yeah.
And I noticed, I was like, I think that's a continuity error, and I couldn't give two fucks because this looks amazing. It's so iconic. It's like that shot of Harrison Ford in Temple of Doom when he's on the swing and he just got no sleeves. Get rid of the sleeves.
We just rewatched Evil Dead 2. Great no sleeve moment.
No sleeve moment.
Yeah, you gotta pop that sleeve off
Get
if you
rid
want
of
your
the
action
sleeves.
guy to look fucked up and hot.
And he needs to have like a smeared blood on his bicep.
Yes,
And like just a little bit of
yes.
dirt and some sweat.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my god, yes.
All right.
Got a little quiet there. I have a question for the group. Who thinks that they can best summarize the plot of The Fifth Element?
I can absolutely summarize it the best.
Mick? Go ahead.
All you need.
Let's let this man fall or rise.
All you need is love.
All right, that might be the theme of The Fifth Element.
Oh, it's the plot.
How about the plot? How about the events that occur? Anyone? Sam?
I mean, this is your movie.
Yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Like, damn it, my brain's too slow today. Okay, you want me to summarize the?
Okay, stop interrupting. That was great. Wait, what was the question?
Yeah, sorry, ADHD. Okay.
No. No one on this podcast knows anything about that.
That's right.
Hey. Yeah.
Zach, why don't you describe the plot? You want to talk about plot?
No,
Talk plot.
I'm asking because it's hard.
It is. No. Yeah, wait, what's the plot?
Okay,
this is
so
bad. This is falling off the rails.
this is
She's lost the plot.
Yeah, we are losing the plot here.
this is the thing about The Fifth Element. When I've watched it is like, okay, so we have our opening where we have
Yeah,
The
we-
Shadow.
we have
big
Mr.
fiery
Shadow.
ball.
Yes. So we have our Mangalores, who are like an alien race, who are my favorite design in the movie.
Oh, that's so
They're big
cute.
gold guys with little tiny heads.
they're obese lads.
Armadillos.
Rocks. Fucking so sick. But they have prophesized that there's going to be this great evil that comes to destroy the universe, and the only way to stop it
The fiery planet.
is, yes, by bringing together 5 elements in a room that's on Earth
Right.
to destroy this like great evil. We open many, like 1,000 years in the past from 1990, and then we cut to a few hundred years in the future. There's this big evil fiery planet that's coming to destroy the world. There's this order of monks that knew about this room on Earth who are like, okay, we need to contact the Mangalores because there's going to be this great warrior that can defeat this evil. And we eventually find out
Perfect being.
that perfect being is Mila Jovovich. The part where I feel like this movie gets even more dense is the involvement of Zorg,
The art dealer.
who is, this like weapons manufacturer.
Gary Oldman.
Who is played insanely by Gary Oldman. He has a half-shaved head with a clear plastic piece on the bald portion of his head. He has an insane, like...
What's this weird pet?
Yeah, he
It's
has...
so cute.
He has Dumbo. It's Dumbo.
It's not Dumbo.
It's Dumbo.
Yeah, he has like this like kind of off blue pinkish
Dumbo?
little elephant thing that lives in his desk.
Yeah, it looks like Dumbo.
He talks kind of like this. Like he has
Yeah.
this insane
Weird
like
Texan
southern
thing.
Gary
accent.
Oldman, not the elephant thing.
That's
Yes,
right.
the elephant does not talk. Thank you for the
Dumbo doesn't
clarification.
talk like that.
But here's my thing: is Zorg is like in cahoots with the evil planet.
How and why?
He talks to it on the
With
phone.
Mr. Shadow.
He talks to the planet, which
Yeah.
is nicknamed Mr. Shadow, on the fucking phone.
Yeah, called him.
I'm not even against this idea. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
But how the fuck?
I love it so much.
How did they get in contact?
But also,
love that
what's with the oil that goes down their
immense
faces?
evil puts a phone call to a character on Earth. It's just like, hey man, what's up? You got my stones.
Yeah.
Where are the stones? Well, I don't have all yet, but I'm going to get them sooner.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. I think so. This was originally supposed to be. This was like originally, I think, the 200 pages.
Yeah, it was.
It was going to be 2
Luc
films.
Besson, who we will have to get into at some point.
Yes.
We're dodging around him, and eventually we're going to have
But
to.
also, did you know that he started writing this when he was 16?
Yes.
So that's probably
Yeah.
why it's kind of, while that woman is naked in a tube.
Yeah.
With a,
Well, he talked about how he grew up in a rural area with an alcoholic father, like a single dad, and the 3 ways you can get out is suicide, alcoholism, or getting out with your pen. And he chose the pen, I guess, and wrote this.
Listen, doesn't preclude alcoholism.
No, you can. I think it's best
You
if you combine
can
them.
do both, and ultimately it's awesome if you do.
Yeah, so this was originally going to be this like probably a 2-movie or like a 4-hour long space opera. And they realized that it was going to be so complicated and it was going to be so expensive to do that they had to boil it down. And it took some convincing, I guess, but Luc Besson eventually did that and whittled it down to this still quite long.
Yeah, 2-hour, 15-minute movie.
Yeah, this is
It's
a
the
behemoth.
So at the time, this was the most expensive
European
movie ever made. They got a little bit of funding from Sony. That was kind of how you need like an American movie star attached element.
they have like some really good cast in it though, like big names.
So
Yeah.
you know who Luc Besson originally had in mind for the lead?
Corbin Dallas?
Yeah,
Who?
Mel Gibson.
Oh yeah, I did know that.
Yeah,
I thought you
Mel.
said it was Sylvester Stallone.
No, so
Sylvester Stallone wanted to do it.
he wanted to do it. Luc Besson actually went on
Yeah.
record saying, "I was getting annoyed with Sylvester because he kept bothering him at like party events and said, "Look, buddy, you're just not right for this."
I just want to be in the fifth element.
Adrian,
I'm
did
trying
you
to
know
go
the
to
fifth
space.
element is love?
The fifth element is moving on. Half elements and stuff in.
Hey, bada bing, bada boom.
Let's keep doing this. We can do another hour of this.
We could.
We will. Yeah, so anyways.
But they eventually got Bruce because I guess Luc Besson was having dinner with Demi Moore. They were married at the time. And then Bruce Willis walked over to the table and was like, "Hey, what about me?" Half joking, and then he ended up getting the gig. And thank God they did.
Yeah,
Bruce Willis was fantastic. But yeah, the point I was trying to make was this is so complicated. There's a lot happening, but originally they had fucking double amount of the story here, and I think partly what we're talking about, the complicated plot, is just like them trying to slim all of this down. But it is quite a bit.
Yeah. Whenever I personally watch The Fifth Element, for me, I'm like, I love so much of the world of this movie. I just want there to be a little more focus.
Why?
Fair enough.
Valid.
As someone with ADHD, I love multiple plot lines happening at once.
No doubt. Wait, okay,
I'm
Sam,
kidding.
have you seen Jupiter Ascending?
No.
This has, to be fair, Jupiter Ascending, worst movie, but made by better people.
Yeah.
It's, this movie, when I got to the end of it this time around, and, we've got Lilu, who's our perfect human being, who's been genetically recreated, played by Mila Jovovich, and she's in the room with all the other elements, getting ready to destroy the evil, and is feeling, discouraged about the state of the world, and Bruce Willis has to be like, the life is worth saving because of love, and ultimately, like, the two of them being in love is the thing that allows her to, like, summon her cosmic power and destroy Mr. Shadow, who might be on the phone with Gary Oldman at the time, we don't know.
It was the kiss. They kissed, and then it
if he
beamed.
kissed Bruce Willis, I'm not surprised.
Might do it.
Yeah, I'd beam in the space.
But that has, like, such Wachowski's energy, which Jupiter Ascending is also just, like, this big, sprawling space opera with insane world building that hangs together much less than this. But, yeah, the Wachowskis love to be like...
You mentioned
I mentioned that one of the Wachowski sisters looks like Lilu.
No, because...
Like the hair and everything. I was like,
kind of
similar.
Is that Lily?
It was because when I was saying to you, another thing that I really liked about this movie, because at that time, it wasn't that common for, like, a woman to be the hero.
Yeah.
In that way, where she was, like, did all these martial arts and all this stuff. Like, obviously she was, what's the word? Like, it's all male gaze. I mean, that outfit was
for sure
beautiful.
Infantilized.
Yes, and that too.
We'll have to get into it. We simply have to.
But then when I said that, you were like, oh yeah, it gives me, because you were working out if The Matrix was before or after this, because there's definitely some similarities.
That's another strong female character that can kick ass and take
The
names.
Matrix, a couple years after.
That was partly why Mila Jovovich wanted to work with Luc Besson so much, was because there's a movie that Luc Besson did 2 movies before called La Femme Nikita.
With his 16-year-old wife.
Which I really... is that Leon the Professional, or was that Nikita?
No, it was La Femme Nikita, I believe, stars...
No.
No. That's
Leon the Professional is loosely based on their relationship, according to his former wife.
La Femme Nikita, I think, is, if I have to pick a favorite movie of a director that should be in jail, my pick for Luc Besson would be La Femme Nikita. That is a movie about a woman who's a junkie, and basically like the French equivalent of the Secret Service brings her in, and they train her to be a secret agent and an assassin. And it is one of the most kick-ass female-led stories that I've ever seen, and the action is so fantastic. So you can kind of see that that's something that he, I guess, tries to play with. I heard a story that James Cameron, like, shat all over him at one point about female characters.
Like, good, dude.
Yeah. But
James Cameron right on the fucking money with this creep.
Yeah, but I had to say, please check out La Femme Nikita. It's a really great, serious action film. So it's funny that he can do this, which is very wacky. It's super camp in just, it's like, it's almost like slapstick. There's a lot of slapstick elements to this.
I do want to say that the costuming was so great because it was so high fashion as well. which you just didn't really see at that time. Like, and now I didn't notice it at the time either until watching it today. I really noticed the whole styling of it, and then the wackiness and how Bruce Willis was like this kind of mostly serious action hero.
Yeah.
But everything else was, like you said, it was very grounding because everything else was so wacky.
You needed that for sure, especially playing off of Ruby Rod.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that is a good bit where he keeps kind of like, I was watching that. I was like, that's kind of our first glimpse at an influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm trying to think, like, that might be the first time an influencer was like thought up in like like what the world might end up being like, and they kind of got it pretty close. But that was just very funny. Every time Ruby Rod wanted to get a quote from Dallas, and he would just say like one word answers, and
good.
And it was just completely frustrating.
Yeah.
Good bit.
It was almost like Ruby Rod was going live for their TikTok.
Yes.
Yeah, he has his own entourage, he has his own fan base and everything, but he's not like a real celebrity. He just has posts. Like, this is the best story I've ever done. This is cool. I liked it. I like him.
It's funny you say that because I feel like it's so futuristic, but it was also very dystopian. Like, with all the police, it's like very, like, everything's like, you're watched all the time. It was like a police state. And it felt very like this dystopian future, and it's kind of scary because when you look at how the world is turning today, especially with like technology and how that's all changing and everything, and thinking this was 97 and like a lot of these things that were brought up in this movie.
Careful now.
Got handsy. Just seem very relevant to today.
Yeah, well, as you said, it is kind of like lighthearted Blade Runner in that way, but yeah, still very dystopian.
Yeah, I feel like another like kind of close analog that we've covered on this podcast is Total Recall.
Oh yeah.
Where like there are these like dystopian like hyper capitalist elements with Zorg. It's crazy that I keep saying Zorg. It's a fun word to say, and I'm gonna throw it around a few more times.
You should name your first child Zorg.
Zorg. It's Zorg. It's Zach Harris, and this is my son Zorg Harris.
Yeah, that fits. Why'd you give him that haircut? Well, have you seen the movie?
Hang on.
I'm like, that's not oil that's coming out of him.
Oh, God. But yeah, I think that this kind of has that same Total Recall energy where everything is like very cheerful.
Yeah.
But there are like weird, like fucked up hyper capitalist and like fascist elements to the world. This is less bleak, but there's a lot going on, and I feel like.
Let's talk about it.
Alexis, how much have you read about Luc Besson?
I listened to a whole hour-long podcast on this movie, which was really just a really deep dive into Luc Besson. So, yeah, I feel like I'm pretty well-versed at this point.
Anything you'd like to share, or
I
are
would
you
say
going to make me do it? This was my big topic, so I can.
Sure. Okay, great. So here we go. So basically, is this his first? Is the 21-year-old who's in this movie? Was that his first wife or
This is
his
his second wife. She was 19.
She was 19
at the time of shooting.
Yeah.
No, that's not who I'm talking. I'm talking about his first wife. His first wife, who he met technically when she was 12, and I believe he was 27 or 29.
She is also in this
when
movie.
she was 15.
Who did she play?
She is also in this movie. I'll get to that. She plays the opera singer, the diva. Oh. So she turned 15 and they started dating because at the time, the age of consent in France was 15.
Still is.
By the time she's 16, she is pregnant with their first child, and they're married. And by the time she is 21, she is being left for young Mila Jovovich, who is in this movie. The first wife played the blue diva. She's actually on like stilts and everything.
Oh, I love that.
I thought she was just
for
tall.
that scene. Actually, I thought something that was really cool was that like the first time that everybody in the audience sees her in that scene is is actually the first time anybody saw her in that costume. Like, he had her, like, covered up and everything in order to get, like, real reactions. Fuck that guy, but, you know, whatever.
It's a good idea. Fuck him up.
Yeah, so, and then also in general, he has been accused of, like, sexual misconduct and just, like, in general, like, misconduct, like, on set of, like, multiple other women. And funnily enough, actually, his first wife, I think, got charged with assault because she hit a reporter who, like, they released her interview about the whole situation with all these allegations against him without telling her first, and that was part of her deal when she gave the interview, was that they would tell her first before they published the article. And years down the road, she ended up fucking just, like, decking this, like, interviewer. I don't remember, but she gets an assault charge, like an actual assault charge, and has to pay a fine. This man don't get shit. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's fucked.
You know? Anyways. And then he ended up marrying somebody who was, like, a relatively, like, you know, reasonable age.
I thought you were about to say a relative for a second.
Yeah, I also did. I
was like, wait,
my
what?
heart fluttered.
Based on where we have been trending.
No, I think she was, like, his third wife was, like, in her 30s when they met or something, so, you know.
Wait, so how old was he then?
Yeah, he's probably in his 60s.
Probably.
I think he was probably in his 50s.
Yeah, because I think...
Freak.
Because I know that apparently when this movie was released, he got an award at Cannes for Fifth Element, and he was 38.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I thank you, Alexis. That was disgusting and detestable.
Thank you for doing the fucking dirty
thank
work.
you for doing
on
the
this
work
episode.
no one else wants
You're
to do.
so
That's,
welcome. Horrible.
Yeah, so I was watching a lot of stuff with Mila Jovovich about the making of this. This is a movie she's very proud of. It's a character she's very proud of. And she was talking about getting cast in this. And before she was in this movie, she was a model in New York. And she went to audition for this film because she was a big fan of Luc Besson's films and had like...
Yeah.
Heavy makeup. She wore what she thought was like really sexy and cool, and Luc Besson was like, she's fine, don't want anything to do with her. Then, fast forward like, I don't know, 6 months, I don't know exactly how much, Chateau Marmont in Beverly Hills.
No, it's...
Or it's in LA, excuse me, Chateau Marmont.
Yeah, get fucking
I know,
with
God,
it,
I'm
Nick.
such a fucking idiot.
You live in
Oh
the
my
valley
God.
and it's fucking showing.
So they're at the Chateau Marmont, and she's like swimming in like a t-shirt, no makeup on, and Luc Besson was there and saw her and went, "Oh my God, that's the woman." But now she's not in any makeup or anything. She looks great. Why don't you audition for me? She's like, "Well, let me put on some makeup first." He's like, No, just come up to my room right now.
Of course he did.
Yeah,
she goes
horrible
up.
thing.
Yes. Oh my God. They talk about that in the podcast episode too.
Yeah, so she goes up.
He's awful.
She goes up, and this is she's talking about this like on a variety thing. She goes up. He's telling her dance to no music, but like you've never heard music before. Just talk gibberish, and she was like, it felt like very odd, but it was also super liberating, and I was super game because I'm like a really huge fan, and she lands the part. And then later on, when he's talking to the producers and they're asking, well, why did you go with her? He said quite clearly to his producer, saying that, you know, Lilu, it's all about love in this story, and she's going to save the world. So I cannot have a Lilu who's going to be front and center unless I fall in love with her.
And in turn, that means I can't have someone over the age of 19.
And he then ends up marrying her later on. And there's an interesting story that I heard from Bruce Willis where he was talking about that cab scene I mentioned earlier, where this was the first time that his character meets hers, and he hadn't seen her yet, hadn't met her yet, and this was on purpose. Luc Besson and others shielded her from Bruce so that they would get an authentic reaction from him seeing her in this bandage outfit. And Bruce Willis was talking about it, going, yeah, you know, they kind of hid her from me, you know, when I first got over to Europe to do it. But, you know, it's like, didn't really matter because, you know, it was all kind of an open secret that her and Luke had a thing. And it's just fascinating to me that like Bruce Willis lands there and he's like, they're trying to get this authentic reaction from me from someone that I know is probably porking the director. Like, this is just a weird thing. Yeah, it is weird. It's icky.
Okay, I have another side note, is that Mila used to babysit Bruce and
Yes,
Demi's
true.
kids when they would come to set. And I'm just like, yeah, let's do dirty business with the young girl who's babysitting the children.
There's
Yeah.
another
The
fantasy.
older man
And
who's on. It's just.
that's also another thing which I didn't really click until I watched it today, was when he just kissed her when she was asleep.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's Bruce. That's unlike you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're watching this and
Yeah,
you're
not
like,
the character.
I'm buying into the reality
Yeah.
of this world, but Bruce Willis would fucking never. And you know what?
No, I won't believe it.
I respect that. Yeah, that moment also jumped.
Bruce Willis knows
You're
boundaries.
goddamn right.
Well, it's interesting though that then like she pulls the gun on him, and you know he's like, "You're right. I shouldn't have done it. That was a stupid thing to do. That was a stupid thing to do." And then she talks to him in her native alien tongue, and then he's leaving, and he asks the priest Ian Holmes like, "Hey, what was that thing that she mentioned?" He was like, "What thing?" "Oh, this." And he goes, "Oh, that means not without my permission." Closes the door.
Yeah, but there's other moments in this movie too. Like there's a bit where Ruby Rod goes down on a stewardess,
Oh,
like
yeah.
as a surprise,
Oh, yeah.
and it's like a gag.
Yes,
and also
it's
just like
intercut with the launching of the shuttle.
legs.
Yeah.
Yes. Which, and also like the whole relationship between Corbin Dallas and Lilu is like, oh, she's this like, you know, naive, like physically perfect being whose mind is unused to the world. She's almost a child in her way, but she's this perfect sexual being, but also a child. It's interesting that, you know, Luc Besson would put that on screen.
Yeah, there's always these bits about how
guess
she's
it's-
perfect.
I guess it's kind of like Poor Things, right? As well.
Yeah, but, you know, I haven't heard
That
anything
was
fucked
tasteful,
about fucking Yorgos Lanthimos yet. I will not defend him. I will not speak against him until I have more information.
Yeah.
I'm not having a Paul Rubens
Yeah.
situation.
I think the only thing that I generally like actually kind of don't like about the movie is that it ends with them having sex. Because I felt like, well, first of all, I felt like it was very anticlimactic that, like, you wait all this fucking time to get to these goddamn fucking stones, and it happens for, like, 2 seconds. Like, she just, like, splits out this light, they destroy everything, and it's like, woo,
Mr.
yeah,
Shadow
that's
goes
done.
down.
All this work to get to that, and it was just super easy, basically, and I was like, okay. And then they have sex at the end, and I was like, this feels like this implies that, like, her reward
Yes.
for
100%.
getting, like,
I
saving
mean-
the world is to have Bruce Willis's dick,
and-
like, this guy
Yeah.
who's, like,
Counterpoint.
a cab driver. Like, not that I'm saying, like, being a cab driver is awful or anything, but I was like, why is her reward just some man's dick?
Well, and okay, counterpoint.
Yeah,
Sam,
counterpoint,
how do you
Sam, what
feel
do you
about this
think?
reward of being with Bruce Willis at the end of the film?
I mean, I think it's fair. And in a tube.
Okay, also, I did not have a crush on Bruce
I get
Willis.
to do it in a tube.
So,
It's Tubi time with Bruce Willis.
Tubi time with Bruce Willis. It's fun. It's new. It's happening now.
Finally.
And it's bulletproof glass, right? I don't know.
You know who I would like to talk about just briefly, because we've talked about this order of priests who
Oh, yes.
bring Lilu to life. I want to talk about Mr. fucking Ian Holm, who
Yes.
has come up recently because he was ghoulishly recreated with CGI in Alien Romulus. And that dude has just had such an incredible career in terms of like the directors that he worked with. He worked with Peter Jackson, Martin Scorsese, Brad Bird, Terry Gilliam, David Cronenberg, Steven Soderbergh, and Ridley Scott, just to name a few, and like was a massive presence in so many of those guys' movies. I'm always happy to see Ian home.
Here's the thing. I grew up watching movies with him, and so he's kind of like a household name for me. But as an adult, when I think of Ian Holmes, I think of Alien.
Ian Holm.
I think of Alien, a very sinister...
Not letting you get away with it.
Very sinister character. But I forget that he is funny. Because there's another movie he did called Big Night, where he plays an Italian-American.
Gabagool.
And he does a really, really good job, and he's really, really funny. And in this, it was really fun watching him absolutely get to just crank it up to 11 and overact.
Yeah, I mean...
You don't see that a lot from him.
Well, one of his later film roles was fucking as Chef Skinner, the voice of Chef Skinner in
That's right.
one of my all-time favorite films, Ratatouille. That's perfect film. It's just to be clear. I see Sam laughing, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Did you know that anyone can cook, Sam? But only the fearless can be great? Yeah, I
just was getting it confused with Stuart Little.
Different movie. I don't care about Stuart Little.
It's a different room.
Okay.
What about Flushed Away?
No. We're addressing the Stuart Little.
I love Zach's take on Ratatouille, though, only because it is probably the most pure thing that Zach ever says on this podcast is his feelings on Ratatouille.
Perfect film, phenomenal film. I love it. Listen, Stuart Little, he's privileged. He's fucking living in this ivory tower. Oh, he's adopted as this little fucking mouse boy. He gets to drive a little car around. He has a little tiny motorcycle. He gets everything fucking
that's
handed
Mouse
to
on the
him.
motorcycle. That's not Stuart Little.
Yeah, he needs to pick a more believable struggle.
Remy has to fucking struggle. What are we all doing out here?
Remy a rat?
Yes, Remy is the rat. We're talking. Listen, Remy's the rat. Linguini is Ratatouille's monster. But no, Remy, he's got to fucking scrap and pursue his dream like we all are. The Fifth Element.
Another great French film.
Yeah, there we go. We're right back in.
We're back in it. Circles all around.
Oh my god. Fifth Element, please, feelings all around. What's worth remarking?
Well, you mentioned
upon?
Terry Gilliam. It reminded me that Bruce Willis had a hell of a career in the 90s because he was coming off of 12 Monkeys and Pulp Fiction, Tarantino and Terry Gilliam, and then he does this not super surefire thing with Luc Besson, who was at that point considered another kind of very, very competent auteur director. I think that his career trajectory is something to just kind of admire, I guess, in retrospect, of the directors that he chose to work with. Because he could have gone in a different direction after Die Hard. He could have done the Sylvester route.
Yeah, well, even, I feel like not so much now with his health stuff that he has going on, but I feel like late career Bruce got a little bit mocked, but, even in the 2010s, he was working with Wes Anderson and Rian Johnson.
That's true.
He really did have a good eye for filmmakers. Because it's 2 years after The Fifth Element, he's getting nominated for Best Actor, I think, for The Sixth Sense. Did he? I know that movie got nominated for director. But he really did has had a reputation for being difficult to work with, but
has he?
A little bit. I think that's maybe a lot of that comes from a few specific directors, but I feel like he has had a track record of finding up and coming directors regrettably Besson, or M. Night Shyamalan, and being you have a vision, I trust you, I'm gonna protect you.
Oh. I do love the whole reason why he got into The Sixth Sense, though, is because something had happened with a different film, and he ended up owing a studio 3 films, but he was allowed to choose what films they were, and he ended up by accident, I think, getting the Sixth Sense script because they weren't going to use him because they were this is just some newbie director, why would we spend all this money to put Bruce Willis in this movie when it's supposed to be this small of a budget, but he really wanted to do it, he really believed in that script. So I think he just has a good eye for projects, personally.
Dead
I
air.
really love the opera scene, personally.
What was that?
I said I really love the opera scene. I don't know. I mean, you guys know me. I love opera, but I think that the creature design for her is very fun, and the fact that you have like the intercutting, like the fights and everything in this opera scene is really great.
And also,
you see Lilu kind of go into action for the first time, when all of this is happening. So that's just a really great segment. And then I know, Zach, you said that you don't like the fact that Chris Tucker's character just like fucking is useless during like the fight scene.
Yeah, I don't love it.
Maybe it's just is that I love this era of Chris Tucker I don't know, like I grew up like loving Rush Hour, so there was just like something about the Chris Tucker of it all, like watching The Fifth Element, I was like, oh yeah, this is the Chris Tucker that I know and love. Kind of before his shtick got old, I think is kind of what it is,
I
don't know. I really enjoyed it.
He is solidly funny in this. I've really kind of reframed my mind. You cannot get more polar opposites than Chris Tucker in this and Bruce Willis in this. And seeing them both hiding under a pool table getting blown to bits and their different ways of handling that situation emotionally, but still working together, is great. It really works for me.
the gun scene where he like cuts out the
That's a good gag.
So good.
That's a great gag.
Yeah.
Where he falls through.
And and the Royal Opera House in London.
Oh,
I
yes,
was like,
that's true.
I know this place. I agree with you both.
Yeah, they...
Oh,
sorry, go ahead.
no, if you're going to say something about the scene, because I have something about Prince, who was supposed to be
Okay, my only thing was just, they shot this at Pinewood in London because they, didn't have the infrastructure to shoot sci-fi movies in France at this time. This was, again, the most ambitious production a French studio had ever taken on.
They took up 7 sound stages, I think, at Pinewood.
Yeah.
Which is pretty
it was
fucking
insane.
crazy.
What were you saying about Prince?
So originally, Luc Besson really wanted Prince to be Ruby Road, and so they actually had him and Jean Paul were supposed to meet with Prince at the same time, but unfortunately, Prince got let into the room with his bodyguard first, and Jean Paul was there, and I think Jean Paul thought that the meeting was just supposed to happen because Luke hadn't gotten there. There was some sort of mix up, but basically Jean Paul starts to show Prince all these different costume designs and everything. And unfortunately, Jean Paul's French was a little off, and Prince kept thinking that he was saying "fuck you," but he was saying something more along. It sounded like a "fuck you," but it was more. It was a gender neutral term for describing the type of costuming that it was, but and supposedly Prince took it really well and was just it's all kind of just a too feminine for me, which I think is very funny considering that Prince is such a kind of gender fluid icon of the 80s, and then for him to be actually this is too feminine for me.
That's crazy.
Is kind of funny. Yeah, and then Chris Tucker he did get rid of an interview about the costuming and saying at first I wasn't really sure about it, but I think it all, it all worked out. I think it looks great. I love the outfit that he has. I guess it is at the opera, and it gets all shredded with the roses that are around his the top of it. It's a very Jean Paul kind of look of it. I really love that fit. I mean, obviously, I like all of them, but that one in particular was really good.
Jamie Foxx was also in talks to play Ruby Rod.
Yeah, I saw that, and
yes.
He was too muscular.
Yeah, he was too jacked.
Yeah, which is a good. Why didn't I get hired? Because you're just too fucking fit, you hunk. It's okay, fine.
All right,
hire me for the next one. Say less. Yeah, solid picture. Solid fucking picture.
Yeah. Do we have any final thoughts? I'll throw it to Sam, our guest.
Oh God, final thoughts.
Final thoughts on The Fifth Element.
So I don't know if I saw this movie now for the first time, I wonder if I would have as much love for it as I do now because of the nostalgia for me. But I still find it a really solid movie, and I do like the fact that it brings in a lot of things that we see presently.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really glad we talked about this because we're doing Sci-Fi Month, and I think this is one of the movies with like the most sci-fi in it.
It crams a lot in.
In terms of like we've got aliens, we've got futuristic technology, we've got like biogenetic engineering, like it throws so much at you, and I feel like it would be boring to talk about Star Wars because what the fuck else is there to say?
You get extraterrestrial influence on ancient Egypt. So you even get that thread of things.
We're getting ancient alien shit. Like this, it would have felt inappropriate to not do a space opera this month.
Yeah.
So,
especially following up Melancholia.
All I'm saying is that if Lilu had been there, it wouldn't have gone down like that.
Yeah. It's like I was watching this going like, I really liked Melancholia. This is like a solid film, but what a 180-degree pivot that we go from Melancholia to this. Very different tone, very different vibes.
Yeah, and again, it's like it's capturing the attitudes of an era. Like, I feel like the 90s, at least in terms of like American culture, was like kind of one of the last times where we were really feeling ourselves. You know, the Cold War was over. 9/11 hadn't happened yet. You know, the financial crisis hadn't happened yet. Like, it was a time of, like, fun and optimism in some ways. And I think that bleeds through in this movie in a fun way.
It is very 90s. Yeah, we hadn't mentioned that. But, yeah, the music and a lot of this is a very 90s film. But, yeah, I'm glad I got to rewatch it. I'm glad we got you on the show finally. This was really, really cool. I know this was a movie that you really like. This was cool. It's fun to go on a space opera with a space boat involved heavily in the third act.
Yeah, you love it. Alexis, final thoughts.
Very interesting podcast episode that I listened to, and you would think that would have ruined a little bit this viewing experience, but it's really hard to not see the character of Lilu through this, like, lens of, like, you know what was going on with Luc Besson, so it's kind of hard to not watch it and be like, you are suspicious, sir. But despite all of that, you know, Bruce Willis is so solid in this movie, and Mila Jovovich really does give everything that she can. And, like, I mean, she's doing a lot of just, like, facial and, like, acting with her eyes, you know, and it really does come across. So with everything that she had for that character that she was given, despite being infantilized and fucking sexualized in this very weird fucking way, she made do with a lot, you know, and fucking Chris Tucker rocks, and the fucking costuming rocks, so, you know, solid movie. Fuck you, Luc Besson.
And you can hang your hat on that.
Amen.
Well, where's our spaceship going next?
Well, we're at our last episode of Sci-Fi Month.
Sad.
And wouldn't you know it, it's Zach's turn to pick.
Oh my god.
And
it's the turn of Zorg.
I mean,
I'm calling you Zorg from now on.
Good,
I just decided.
Jean-Paul Emmanuel Zorg. That's a really easy accent to do because it's like halfway to a Texan accent, but like he's not trying that hard.
They even described it as half Texan.
Yes. So, what goes better with science fiction than a little bit of horror? We are going to be talking about in some ways, and I'll get into this, the movie that sort of started it all for horror movies in me. We're going to be discussing 1979's Alien, directed by Mr. Ridley Scott.
And another Ian Holmes performance.
We are going to be talking about Ian Holm, you motherfucker.
Holmes.
We are going to be talking about Sigourney
You're
Weaver.
canceled.
We're going to be revisiting Mr. John Hurt, who was in Melancholia, Harry Dean Stanton, Yaphet Kotto, Veronica Cartwright. I can't wait to talk about this movie. This, in my view, is a perfect film. And I love it a lot. And we may have a special guest. And if you're looking to watch Alien, you can find it on Hulu or Disney Plus, or you can rent it wherever you rent your movies.
Or come to our apartment, watch it. It's on the shelf.
Break into our house. Don't tell us you're coming. Physically attack us when you're here. And yeah, if you want to find...
Make sure you sleep in mixed bed. He really likes
Just
that.
It's
only,
my favorite.
only if he's in there.
Yeah.
If you want to find us, the Film Majors, you can find us at Film Majors Pod on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok. Again, that's Film Majors Pod on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok. You can find us on YouTube, the Film Majors Podcast.
Comment, subscribe.
Yeah, like the podcast, subscribe to the show.
Email us.
You're goddamn right, filmmajorspod@gmail.com. And Sam, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks,
Do you
man.
have anything that you would like to plug for yourself? No. Maybe?
She's looking at me when we ask that. Uh-oh.
There we go. All right.
Nothing?
You put me on the spot, mate.
Me? Zach asked you.
We're happy to have you on, Sam. You don't
Thank you,
have
Sam.
to plug anything.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, let's get the fuck out of here, shall we?
She's like, I don't want anybody to know
Yeah,
that.
she's like, I want no record of this.
Leave no trace.
No
We're gonna
paper
bleep
trail.
her entire name out every time we say
We should.
it.
That's funny.
It's gonna be an editing nightmare for me.
We should. All right. We'll see you next week, folks.
Bye.